Oh, you beauty! What a head, son! What a head!
Welcome back, guys, to Onto the Ball. I'm Scott, and I'm joined, as always, for Liverpool podcast by James O.B. O'Brien. Liverpool Football Club. They never cease to entertain us, amaze us. We're on for a quadruple of sorts. James O.B. We've got a very favourable draw in the FA Cup on Sunday against Man United. They're in the mud. Hopefully we'll be getting through this semi-final. The League Cup is already in the bag. The Europa League, I'm sorry, but we're just too good for this competition. We should never have been in this competition after the last 8 years under Jurgen Klopp. It's a travesty we're in it, but in it we are. We're cruising through to the quarterfinals of that. Let's see who we get. I can only see Leverkusen, who've just scored a injury time winner against FC Karabag, or colostomy bag, as my Man United mate calls them, to try and rip us for being in that competition. Atalanta, I think, are in it. I don't know what happened in the Sporting game, or was that Atalanta? Rangers went out. But anyway, let's not talk about what ifs. The draw is on Friday. But the main thing is, OB, we disposed of a whole midfield in the summer. A rebuild. We either released them on a free or we sold them because they were over the hill, their legs were gone. We brought in a whole new midfield. It was like Liverpool 2.0, Klopp spearheading the next 3 years rebuild. I said this is like Liverpool in 2016. Do not expect to win anything until around 2018-19, which would be 2026-27. Here we are chasing 4 trophies, a quadruple. The league could very well be on. It's all to play for with only 10 games left. I'm astounded. And obviously, we've just got to forget the fact that Jurgen Klopp's leaving in the summer and just enjoy it for what it is. But how much of a surprise is this that we're firing on all cylinders? Let's be real.
It's really interesting because it's quicker than I've seen any other major rebuild for any team. You don't normally just bring in. Was it four? Was it 4 midfielders we brought in?
4 midfielders, yeah. Graf,
4
Endo,
midfielders,
Matt,
and
Sobo.
Yeah, and they've come in and they've all contributed immediately. They've hit the ground running. The most surprising thing is that they fitted into the team really easily. And
that's Jurgen Klopp, isn't it? He very rarely makes a mistake, and we're going to get onto it. But then we've even got like Connor Bradley, Gerald Kwanzaa, Kelleher in goals, McConnell in midfield, Bobby Clark in midfield, Jadon Danns up top. Like, this is nothing short of a miracle.
Also, don't underestimate the contributions of Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones before Jones went out injured as well, because both of them had a massive impact on the front half of the season. They took some of the slack when some of the players lost a little bit of form, and they just come in and did the business. And particularly Elliott off the bench was remarkable at times. And Jones had games where he was the best midfielder on the park. So it's just all good. It shows that we've got a hell of a lot of potential going forward, and I imagine a lot of managers are going to want that job as well, because it's a hell of a squad that we've got there, and there's a hell of a lot of opportunity for someone who comes in to really push on.
I don't think I've ever been this confident in a squad, Obi. I'm not even just talking about the last 35, 40 years of being a Liverpool fan. I'm talking about in Klopp's reign in the last 8 or 9 years. I've always been quite vocal that, FSG don't back him enough. We haven't got 22 players like Man City have. I've always maintained that we've got the best 11 or 12 and we'll beat anyone on our day if everyone's fit. But now I'm looking at the 22 and I've got nothing but pride. Jurgen Klopp, as you just said, he's going to be leaving a squad for this next manager, and just in such a healthy position.
Yeah, 100%. And we need to talk about some of these individuals, Scott, as well, because some of them have just shocked everybody. And I mean everybody. I mean, who would have thought that where we pulled Endo out from the German league, where he's a Japanese captain, so he ain't going to be a crap player.
I'm just laughing because I wrote him off because I'd never heard of him, and because he was 30.
Yeah, but he's absolutely remarkable. I mean, he took a few games to get going, 2 or 3 games to get going, but then he seems to have found the pace. He seems to understand the position. Seems to understand what his teammates are doing. Obviously, a very intelligent footballer from the way he plays and his position on the pitch, his ability to read what's going on around him, his covering abilities for other people when they're deciding to have a little dart down the pitch as well. He's just perfect for us, and Klopp saw that, and the rest of us hadn't heard of him. So that's the sort of that's the standard that we're expecting from the next manager. We're expecting to pull out players for how much? What was he? 17 million, was he?
17 million for a 30-year-old. I remember going mad. I can still remember it in the summer, but that's why I'm a nobody. And Jurgen Klopp has got his mate George Schmacker pulling in these little diamonds. And look, my feelings on 30-year-old ballers, but when I watch Endo play, who's to say that he will not sign another contract after this 4 years and be another James Milner and be there 35, 36, 37? He's just like such a talent. And like you say, he's probably adjusted to his Liverpool career better than many have. I mean, when you think of Oxlade-Chamberlain coming in, Andy Robertson, they were really bled into the side, didn't really make an impact until kind of November, December. Endo, of course, the pace of the Premier League, it did look, he's going to struggle, but he's adjusted and adapted so well. But let's talk about the Europa League game tonight a bit first. I was surprised at how strong Jurgen Klopp went, but Dunny made a good point in our Liverpool group chat that Jurgen Klopp, he likes, what was the word he used?
Momentum.
Yeah. So when you see Salah, I mean, when you look at it, Salah only played half an hour against Man City. Nunez only played 60 minutes, I think it was. So Szoboszlai as well, he's coming back. So it's good to get some minutes in his legs. So when you look at it like that, of course you're risking injury on a so-called dead rubber. But at the same time, he's keeping up that momentum in the squad, sharing the goals around. It's going to do players like Gakpo no end of good in terms of confidence, getting a couple of goals. Nunez keeps his scoring run going. I think he's got 9 goals in his last 9 starts. I don't know. I got ridiculed by a few people about 12 months ago when I said Darwin Nunez is a better footballer than Erling Haaland. I'll die on the hill that I still believe it, even after Erling Haaland broke the all-time Premiership record. But when they're both on their day, and take away all the assists and Kevin De Bruyne and whatever the Man City will bring to Haaland's game, whatever Liverpool bring to Nunez's game, I still think Nunez is a better footballer than Erling Haaland.
Wow.
Which is mad because I wrote him off. I wrote him off 4 months ago, didn't I?
Yeah.
But again, that's just tongue in cheek. When you're raging and he's missed a gilt-edged chance against Luton and you haven't won the game, you're like, I'm finished with him. I'm writing him off. He's done.
Am I allowed to say the jury's still out for me?
Of course.
It's one of them that I'm not completely convinced, because for me, I feel like he needs to kick on now. Maybe this is the start of it, and maybe we're building into next season where he starts really banging the goals in.
It feels like he's gonna, though. Does it to you?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
It's best to be cautious, but I look at it and think, if we click everything around you, the 5 players around you, the 2 on the wings and the 3 in midfield, I can just feel it clicking.
The key for him and the whole team is the new manager coming in, what the relationship's like, whether the manager gets the tactics right. He's got all the physical attributes he has. I'm still not convinced he's got football brain. And I think it's that level of thought process that always bothers me a little bit.
I remember saying that about Sadio Mane, though, OB, do you?
Yeah,
I remember saying if defenders don't know what he's going, if he don't know what he's going to do, how a defender's going to know? You can't put Nunez in that same bracket, and we've kind of said before, we don't know why it works, but it just seems to work, and we just enjoy sitting back and laughing at some moments where he does make a bit of a balls up, but then the next minute he'll lash one in the top corner from 25 yards on the volley, and it's like, what other player in the Premier League can do that?
Yeah, but what bothers me is that he gets caught offside a lot, and it's sort of the basics that he does really badly wrong. And it's like, bothers me. I don't know if it's concentration or lack of ability or just lack of thinking, or I don't know. But it is strange because he scores some belters and he misses easy chances, doesn't he?
Absolutely. But it's all coming right at the right time. Obviously, see, this is the thing. I said it in the group chat. Like, I'm sitting there begging for Trent Alexander-Arnold to get back from injury. I'm praying for Konate. I'm praying for Alisson. But you can't take anything away from Connor Bradley. I think he might be the best right back in the league. Obi, Jarrell Kwanzaa is holding his own, more than holding his own, with Van Dijk alongside him, coaching him through every game. And then Keller, he hasn't put a foot wrong, a glove wrong, should I say.
No,
Keller,
he hasn't.
I mean, how good is he in terms of other goalkeepers in the league?
He's got to be. He's as good as any of the mid-table goalkeepers, if you know what I mean. I think Klopp said earlier in the season he thought he was the best number 2 in the league. Now, I imagine Ramsdale would probably have an argument about that. But he's in that bracket, isn't he? He's in that bracket of, is he better than... Yeah, he's probably better than, I would say, about 12 or 13 of the first-team goalkeepers in that league. And that's the level he's at. Brilliant number 2. I
just hope I don't jinx it. I hope I don't jinx it, Obi, but I can't see Kelleher making a mistake.
He will make a mistake, Scott. That's the thing. I was just about.
They normally do,
right?
don't they? But I can't see it. He just seems so assured, confident.
The most important thing for me is that he keeps his percentages up, and when he does make a mistake, it's not significant in the game. That's all I want, and I'm quite happy for that because ultimately he isn't going to stay in the team ahead of Alisson when Alisson's back and fit. He just needs to keep doing what he's doing, making the right saves, doing the basics really, because his fundamentals that are right. You watch him when he's throwing that one-on-one with Foden. He spread himself really well, didn't panic. He's making the right decisions at the right time. And goalkeeping's about confidence as well. When he believes in himself, and you can see that. But something's keeping his feet on the ground, and he's not over-confident in what he's doing. He just keeps doing the fundamentals right, the basics right, and that works. That does work.
I felt he needed this as well, Obi, because obviously he played in that 4-4 against Southampton at the end of last season. His confidence took a hit. He was playing cup games and he was a little bit shaky, still not throwing in any clangers or nothing. But now Alisson's got injured and he's just gone from strength to strength. He's took his chance with both hands. Excuse the pun, being a keeper. But yeah, he needed this for himself, for his career. I mean, I don't know where it's going to end up, whether he's going to say, look, I can't play second fiddle for the next 5 years, because he's not young, is he? He's about 25 himself. Yeah. So maybe he will move on. Maybe we'll get a decent fee for him now that his stock is so high. But yeah, the sky's the limit for Keller. Football Ferreira, Jose is in the comments. Cheers for joining, Jose, top man, the GOAT. Liverpool should have beat Man City. So unlucky. We didn't do a stream after that, OB. What an exhilarating game that was. Again, it's just props to Jurgen Klopp. I don't know how he's doing it. The guy is a messiah. We all know that. But it was like he was a magician on Sunday. To go into that with Kelleher again, Kwanzaa, Connor Bradley, all these players out. Harvey Elliott got a start, and he was, I think you said he was man of the match. Did you say that? I thought it was Luis Diaz, myself, and I think Endo officially got the Liverpool man of the match, but there was just man of the match performances all over the park. This isn't in the script for Jurgen Klopp to be able to do this with a team, half a team full of reserve or youth players against the Man City, full strength Pep Guardiola's Man City.
And they wore them down, they outran them. You could see that. I've never seen City dead on their feet. And they were absolutely dead on their feet. They couldn't get out, they were out of ideas. They looked worn out. I mean, the only thing we might end up regretting is not winning the game, and that might cost us in the end, because they'll walk out of it and almost go, my God, we got outplayed there, but we got something out of the game. And that kind of gives you confidence, especially away from home. We should have put it to bed. I thought Diaz missed a couple of gilt-edged chances. And
that Diaz one, the more you see it, the keeper went down so early.
I know.
A little bit of composure. He could have took it round him. He could have shown a little bit more composure. I know Nunez's finish against, was it Brentford, where he just chipped the keeper, lofted it.
Yeah.
Michael Owen gave Nunez a bit of stick, saying that was a risky chance to take in that manner. But Diaz, he could have just dinked it, anything, basically anything other than what he done. But the main one for me, Obi, and the more I've watched it, the fallout on the Monday, the Tuesday, is that penalty at the end. I swear to God, that was only not given, Obi, because it was the 98th minute. I think it was such a contest. It was so tense. It was exhilarating. It was end to end, two amazing teams. I honestly think the ref looked at it and thought, I'm not giving that in the 98th minute at the end of this game.
I have no idea what happened there. I mean, for me, it's a stonewall penalty just because of where his foot is. It's a free kick everywhere else on the park. And if the bar is different, the laws don't say it. You know what I mean? But even then, he kicked him in the chest. That's it. It's a penalty.
I think it might have been a yellow card anywhere else, OB. I think it would have been, hang on, dangerous play. Yeah. You didn't hurt the guy, but it's dangerous. Little yellow card, free kick.
I tell you what, though, Scott, when you watch it back a few times as well, what I would say is I feel like McAllister didn't go into it as full-blooded as he could have done.
Yeah.
And it had guaranteed the penalty.
Yeah.
Because he kind of sides on a little bit and he just slows. Now,
but you can see why he done it, OB. Is that he shut his eyes because he was thinking, Jesus Christ, that's a boot in my face.
But if he'd have just kept running, he'd have kicked him, he'd have gone flying backwards, square on, and it had been 100% a penalty. But it wasn't given. We just got to move on.
But why? I mean, I know you're not going to agree, but why didn't VAR intervene? Do you think they froze as well? We're still in that grey area where VAR don't want to overrule the ref. I think the ref had a clear sight of it. If he doesn't think it, I'm not going to re-ref the game and overturn it. It's like still in that grey area where you're not overturning it. And the main thing that I don't get right is that you've got one guy making a split decision. So his head's buzzing. I think I'm right. You got the VAR guy making a split decision. Why can't they ever take him to the screen and both of you discuss it? Because right now going to the screen means it's getting overturned. It doesn't have to be like that. Just be like, who was it again? Was it Tierney?
No, it was what's his name? Michael
Oliver.
Oliver, yeah.
Why can't they go over and be like, let's just have a quick look at this, right? It doesn't look like he hurt him. He pulled out a bit, but it's studs on his chest. It's dangerous. It's high. Let's have a think about this just for a second and be rational. I think they both would have been like, it's a penalty. I'm sorry. Let's call it.
Generally, for me, I think he's the best of the refs. I really do. I think Oliver, if you look at him, he's probably the best ref in the league.
It's a low bar, though, isn't it?
It's a low bar. And it changes from game to game. So he could have a stinker and me absolutely not want to talk about him next week. But he tends to be the one who buys himself a little bit of time as well. But I found it really interesting. He didn't buy himself any time and he didn't go looking for time. And he made the call into the VAR and he actually said the words was, I think he got the ball.
He played the ball. And that, for me, influences the VAR decision-making. Now... Yeah, but we seen that in the Arsenal game, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Remember the Odegaard? And he was like, I know he's handballed it, but he slipped. And again, it's like, well, hang on a minute. Just because he slipped, Odegaard, and just because Doku played the ball, it doesn't mean that either of them are not a penalty. We're not saying he didn't slip, and we're not saying he didn't play the ball. No,
I agree. It's a tough one, mate. It is a tough one. I mean, I don't understand what happened. I do think that the VAR of overturning it changes constantly, depending on whether VAR's had a good weekend the weekend before or not. And what then happens is they either raise the bar or lower the bar, and then that's not consistent from week to week. So I don't know what's going to be overturned and what isn't. Interestingly, in commentary, Gary Neville thought it was a penalty and then sort of half backed off afterwards. But then they went back to, after the game, they went back and Carragher thought it wasn't. which was really, really strange as well.
They're on the payroll, Obi. They are on the payroll. I'm getting sick and tired of it now. We keep having discussions about corruption, and you're saying your argument is it's not corruption. They're just absolutely awful at their jobs, which I can't argue with. But there's a hint of corruption in it for me. But there's something about Carragher. Don't forget the Diaz offside against Spurs. Do you remember they went the whole halftime analysis without even touching on it?
Yeah.
And you know why that was, don't you? They were scrambling. What do we do? Do we call it out for the absolute shambles it is, the horrific mistake, or do we just try to brush it under the carpet? And it wasn't until the second half was about to kick off, they're like, just a word about that Diaz offside. And you're thinking, what on earth is going on? Sky, they're like, they must have a deal to not go in too hard on the PGMOL and referees and VAR and call it out for the farce it is.
Ultimately, they're trying to protect the product, aren't they? That they've got a massive part of. So I imagine there's a vested interest to go, if we keep knocking this league and these decisions that are being made, we're knocking the product and we're wiping the value of the TV deal that we've purchased. You know what I mean? So you're almost wiping value off your own product and your own business by criticising. So there might be a little bit of thought process behind that. I hadn't thought of it until you've sort of just said it, but that sounds like it might be plausible.
But we've kind of said it. Remember when COVID hit in 2020, there was plenty of people that wanted that season cancelled. So if they keep making these monumental mistakes that cost teams 2, 3, 5, 7 points, it kind of makes it a bit null and void, doesn't it? And it's in danger of saying there's been so many errors that if you count them up against one team, which I firmly believe Liverpool have been on the wrong end of the majority of them, then it kind of puts the whole competition in a disrepute, and you're going down lawsuit territory, aren't you? At the end,
I'll give you 3 incidents I think stick out for this season where we've had decisions go against us, and they've all been against teams in the top 5, and that's huge. So the 3 incidents, obviously the one at the weekend, the Odegaard handball, and the Diaz not giving goal. Now they're huge because they're head-to-heads, and our head-to-head record against the other teams in the top 6 is not great, and the massive part of that is the poor decisions.
See, this is the thing. Like, obviously, these refs, Michael Oliver, that lad that reffed the Liverpool game, what was his name again? Was it Steve something or?
Yeah.
They went to ref in the UAE, and from the research I've done, they're freelancing, so they as individuals get paid. So if they've been out in the UAE who own Manchester City, you are leaving yourself wide open there to be showing favoritism towards Manchester City. Now,
wow,
did you just mention the Arsenal goal against Newcastle, that push in the back? That Arsenal got done there by Newcastle, that Gabriel push. And then obviously Liverpool, the Diaz offside, the Odegaard handball, and now for me, this Man City penalty, Doku, Hulk Hogan foot slam into McAllister's chest is right up there. I mean, this has robbed us of anywhere between 5 to 7 points. And it's getting to the stage now where, yes, we need a couple of bad ones to go against Man City, or it's getting too obvious now.
Is this the Onto the Ball X-Files episode where we look for conspiracy theories? I don't know. Something doesn't sit right with me. You know what I mean? Where I would love... I want us to win the league and I want us to win it fairly, but I'd love to believe, and I hope, and you've got to believe, that ultimately if people are making mistakes, it's because they're not very good at the job.
It's getting a bit sus now, though, Obi.
But if I believe anything else, it then makes you think, well, what's the point in even playing it? I don't know if it's sus. I don't know if it's just that there's too much going on. Maybe the job of being a referee has developed so much that it's really difficult for one man to do. On top of that,
that's why they brought VAR in, isn't it? But they're still in the VAR room protecting the ref instead of just judging the situation. I mean, that Mike Dean, he outed it, didn't he, in the summer with Simon Jordan? He said, "I seen the pull on Cucurella's hair." Anthony Taylor had a bad game so far. I didn't want to throw him under the bus even further. So he's basically
So
admitted, I cheated. It should have been a penalty. But I decided not to do it to protect my mate.
Yeah.
I mean, that is absolute proof that corruption is in the game. There's just one little nugget of corruption.
So there's not much I can say to that. I mean, he said it, and it's just absolutely blew my mind. I think from that perspective, I just want to believe that the referee goes in to ref it in a fair way, and you kind of got to believe that, because otherwise, what's the point in watching the game?
I won't believe it. Let's move on. Let's just not bash the PGMOL. No one's going to take our words and take it into Parliament. 100,000 signatures to get the PGMOL looked into. 24 people watching there. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe for more Liverpool, Man United and Premier League content. Really appreciate you tuning in. Obi, that's us in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. There's not much left in it. We're getting to the final. We're too good for this competition. Sorry if that sounds arrogant, but we are where we are. We're probably going to win that. I think Jurgen Klopp really wants to win this. It will be his last game as Liverpool manager. The final in Dublin, is it?
It's in Dublin, yeah.
He wants that final, absolutely. And then we've got a quarter-final against Man United on Sunday. He's not letting up anything in terms of team selection when he's playing the likes of Szoboszlai, Salah, even Van Dijk getting minutes tonight in an absolute dead rubber. He's going to go strong on Sunday, isn't he?
Of course he is. Of course he is. And 9,200 Liverpool fans at Old Trafford as well. So it's going to be a red-hot atmosphere in every sense of the word. The team will be well supported. They'll be making lots of noise. The security around the game will be big. It'll feel big. Let's just hope the boys rise to the occasion. Old Trafford's a big pitch. Should work for us. It's worked for us in the past. Let's hope we can go there and get a win. The only thing that worries me slightly is I think we'll win one of these two games against United at Old Trafford. I really do. I think we're too good not to.
The way we're playing,
we'll win one
to come back from injury, and the way they're defending, they're conceding 20 chances a game, Obi.
Yeah, but to beat them twice at Old Trafford is a challenge. It doesn't matter who it is. You saw when we beat Arsenal in the Cup and we played them first. We went back there and they were just so determined not to give us anything. And you've got to remember, these are our bitterest rivals, probably. They absolutely detest us. They'll do anything to derail our season. They've got very little to play for. They'd love to knock us out of the Cup. It does bother me that we'll lose one of the games and we'll win the other one, or draw the league game and win the cup game. I can't see us winning both of them. I've just got this horrible feeling.
I want to try and convince you, OB, but I remember trying to convince you we were going to smash them at Anfield about 5-0, and I think you were the first to say, I'm worried. The game isn't played just like that. It's going to be on the par. It's going to be different, and it was different. It was the most frustrating 0-0 I think I've ever watched.
There is an element of, I've seen at times Ten Hag when he sits his team behind the ball and doesn't really have any ambition. They can do a job. They can do a job.
I don't think they can, mate. I don't want to be overconfident again, but Manchester United, this is different. I mean, Ten Hag, it's a shambles. I've said it before, I watched them the second most after Liverpool. Obviously, I love watching Liverpool win. I love watching them get beat. It is a shambles what I am watching. Trav is the same. I talk to him every day on the group chat. He's absolutely done with Ten Hag. He can't believe what he's watching, the shape, the build-up play, or the lack of. We're going to slap them on Sunday. We just have to.
They won't do anything ambitious. It's not like they're going and playing against a Bournemouth or a Palace where they've got to drive the play. They won't have the ball. They won't have the ball a lot of the time, Scott. And this is where the game changes, because they're not up against somebody who they're expected to have 60% of the ball. The natives will get restless if it's 0-0 after 60 minutes. They won't have any of them pressures on them. All they'll have to do is not concede. So he can play forward to back. He can play two deep line CDMs. He can tuck his midfielders in. He can give the ball up and just do a little bit of pressing in the right moments. But overall, let us have the ball And I think they'll make it really, really tough for us. I really do. I really do.
The crowd will be up for it again, won't they? That crowd is what won them the game last season. Third game of the season, they got beat by Brighton, then beat by Brentford. We went there, obviously, in good form. They'd lost their opening 2, and they beat us 2-1. But I swear to God, the fans won them that Sunday. I honestly feel they were going to burn Old Trafford down if they lost that one.
And some of it is because there was no expectation on them. It's almost like you go out and you play. I mean, they have got players who can do it. Is Højlund back?
I don't know if he is.
He's quite big. I haven't
spoke to Trav about that. But yeah, they're pretty blunt without him, aren't they? Garnacho,
they are blunt without him.
Rashford up top.
But, I mean, as much as I don't like the guy, Bruno Fernandes is a good player. He's a good attacking threat. He's going to cause us a lot of problems.
He's 30 soon, Obi.
We might as well write him off, Ben.
If he's not already.
But he's a good player. They could sit 2 behind him who are just going to sit deep. That young lad, quite impressed with him.
Kobe Mainoo, he's decent.
Yeah, I mean they've got Casemiro, who seems to be looking as if he's getting back to some decent form. I thought the last couple of times I've seen him. They've got experienced lads like Varane and Maguire, and what they can do is they can run a game down. They'll know how to run a game down, manage the next 10 minutes. Let's not concede. Let's not take any chances. There'll be no passing out from the back from them because they don't do that against any decent team. Ten Hag's told his boys he doesn't trust them enough to do that, so they just play it
up on that, hasn't he?
Yeah, they play it long into channels, and let's be honest about it. If it ends up like Rashford's on a 1-on-1 with one of our fullbacks, we're in a bit of bother. You know what I mean? We are, because he's quick. And he can cause us problems in channels. He's been doing it for years. So we've got to be on a game. We've got to be ready. We've got to be fit. And we've got to look to try and put the game to bed. You know what I mean? We'll forget the opportunities. Let's finish the chances.
We're still going to have some injury problems. Alisson hasn't got a chance for the weekend. Trent Arnold hasn't got a chance.
Yeah.
Gravenberch is back training, so he'll have a chance. You can forget about Thiago. Just release him on a free. Get rid.
Who's that?
Diogo Jota is still a few weeks away, but I can't believe I'm saying this, Obi, but for the first time that I can remember, I can't wait for this international break. We get almost 2 weeks of time to get some players back from injury. But you watch Joe Gomez will go and get injured now on international duty.
Well, I mean, I think from what I've seen, Watkins went off injured for Villa tonight, didn't he? So that's a massive blow for them. Yeah. And he'd just been picked for England. So that might, I mean, it depends how bad that injury is. But you'd almost like want Gomez to pick up something that would keep him out for a week and then out the England squad. A very, very sort of minor injury.
It'd be a shame for him though, wouldn't it? That's his first call-up in 4 years. I hope he goes and I hope he comes back fit. But yeah, I don't want any player going international duty. I'm just going to jump in the comments. Dan from Two Blues on. Cheers for tuning in, mate. Rival talk soon. Yeah, we're going to appear on a Spurs channel, talking all things Spurs. I think it's Arsenal, is it, Dan? Liverpool and Chelsea. That'll be good to be networking around. Josie's still with us. Dan Pochettino is coming to this show soon. Stay there. No way Leverkusen made it through. They did last minute. I think it was 2 goals in injury time, was it?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think they equalised right at the end and then they got the winner in injury time. So
Jose just said 93 and 97th minute. Mad game. Pochettino's the GOAT. I don't know about that. Pochettino has one job to save the whole England by stopping Arsenal, then he can get sacked. I mean, what a run of fixtures that Spurs have got, OB. They've got Arsenal, then Man City, then us. I mean, if anything, that works kind of good for us because they might get slapped in them two and be absolutely defeated and deflated by the time they play us, or they might put in a hell of a shift in them 2 games, maybe get a positive result, but we're just a step too far.
Given that we are the last to play them and we're at home, I would suspect that the way Ange plays, I think they might be a little bit exhausted because we actually play them in May. I suppose it depends where they are with regards to Champions League chasing.
Top 4, yeah.
Yeah,
Top 4.
and where we'll know by that point whether the Premier League are getting a 5th place, because that'll direct how they go about it. But I imagine that they're going to be tough games for everybody.
It's going to be a hell of a run-in, isn't it?
Yeah, it'd just be interesting to see if Big Ange can keep the momentum going of that energy for that team, because I watched them against Villa. Very, very impressive. Really, really impressive, particularly in the second half. Looked like they were a particularly fit team as well. So
but they're a bit like us, aren't they, OB? They've had some big players out injured.
Yeah.
And sometimes that injury, it gives you a bit of a rest, a mid-season break. That the likes of Maddison, Son coming back looking sharp. That Mickey van der Ven, apparently he's the fastest centre-back in the whole league. He was out for 2 months with a hammy.
He got injured again, didn't he?
Has he?
I think so, yeah.
I've just seen him put on the afterburners in the last game. I think it was Villa, and yeah, he looked absolutely rapid. Dan and Jose are just having a conversation in here about Haaland and Nicholas Jackson. Chelsea had as much chance of winning the Champions League as Barca. Solanke should have been called up for England anyway. Absolutely agree, mate. And this is the thing, but the only positive there, Calvin Phillips finally didn't get a call up. He's in wretched form for West Ham. Not that I really care that much about England. 29 goats watching. Let's smash the like and subscribe. 29 people. Don't forget to smash the like and subscribe, guys. Really appreciate it if you do. And thanks for tuning in. Virgil van Dijk, Obi, we've got to say it. If Dan's still watching, he might not agree with me, but Virgil van Dijk, I'm sorry, but he's back to be very much in the conversation of being the best Premier League defender ever. This is superhuman efforts he's putting in.
So if we're looking for player of the season so far in the Premier League, I would suggest that we're looking at Van Dijk, Saliba, Rodri,
Foden, Saka.
Foden, Saka. But for me, I think from a Liverpool perspective, he's just been absolutely immense. Yeah. You saw what he did to Haaland. He basically had him on a leash last week. And he's playing with
Carabao Cup. I don't want to bring it up for Dan Two Blues if he's still here, but that Carabao Cup was superhuman. Like 120 minutes. He was literally orchestrating the whole team around the pitch. And it was just written in the stars for him to pop up the other end and score the winner. I've called it the Gerrard final in 2006, the Stanley Matthews final in 1953. This was the Virgil van Dijk final in 2024. It was like, that's how good he was.
It was absolutely amazing. And it was interesting, even against like City last weekend, that Kelleher isn't first choice. Kwanzaa isn't first choice. Gomez isn't first choice. And Bradley isn't first choice. So from that perspective, I think to have playing with completely different players around you to what you would expect to be playing with, and still stand out as a player, still spending time organising in the defensive situations, still
That's
having that
Yeah.
coolness.
That's what I mean. You're bringing others up around you. And when they're deciding these awards, is it so much how you performed, or is it the effect you are having on your team, your side? Because he's absolutely vital to everything we do. You take him out, and I swear to God, it falls apart, Obi. You take Rodri out, they'll get by. You take Saliba out, they'll get by. You take Saka out, they'll get by. They've got Trossard, they've got other options. Foden, no one's even sure what Foden's best position is yet. Is it in the midfield three or the front three? Okay, so for that reason, you take Van Dijk out of Liverpool, it falls apart. I'm guaranteeing it.
The only argument I would say to that, and this is from an Arsenal perspective, but when Saliba was injured last year, their season collapsed. I think when Saliba and Partey got injured, everything just went wrong. I do feel like Arsenal are an injury or two away from having some problems in the run-in, and obviously they've still got the Champions League, etc. I think City have got 22, 24 quality players they can call upon. I'm starting to see now that we're getting to that 1920 sort of level of players where we've got a lot of options in these positions. But Van Dijk still stands out head and shoulders above every other defensive player just in the way he conducts himself, the way he leads the team, the way he pops up a park and scores winners in cup finals. He's just like all action hero, isn't he? And he looks quicker than he did last year, which is really interesting because it was like it's clear that looking now that he was injured last year and he just kind of got himself through it, got a good pre-season, come back, different player. Back to what we expected.
He does. He just looks different, and it's hard to put your finger on it. Obviously, the big change is that bit of material on his arm, that armband. He looks like he was born to be a Liverpool captain. He's thriving under it. He's loving the responsibility. It was the best appointment Klopp has done when Henderson left the club. I'm not saying he was the only option, but he was obviously the most obvious option. And he's took it, and it's brought his own game up. Maybe, like you say, he's got an extra yard of pace. Maybe it's fitness. Maybe last season wasn't his best because he played the whole season before after the ACL. Who knows? But he's 33 soon, and I don't mind saying it looks like he's getting better, not older.
Yeah, he is. And if he keeps himself fit, probably do what Thiago Silva did. Keep going.
Yeah.
Get a lot of years out of it because they're so efficient with their need to move. They look like they're cruising through it. And he can probably play a bit longer. Injuries, hopefully staying away. He could get another good few years out of play. So whether it be at Liverpool, we end up getting 3 years out of him, then he moves on. I'm not really sure, but I would say that
there'll be a new contract if he stays, won't he? He's only got a year left.
Yeah, there's no sign of him slowing down, and that's the thing. We've got to obviously make that judgment, get in and get him signed up for another year.
Love it. Let's end on this, OB, and it's a tough question. No one, I swear, challenge me if you want, no one rates the likes of Gini Wijnaldum more than me and this man to my left or right. But that team, obviously, Fabinho, Hendo, Wijnaldum, Mane, Firmino, Salah. Where does this team rank compared to that one?
I think going back and looking at, when you get your Facebook memories pop up and seeing that Liverpool in the 1920 season, just before COVID slowed things down, we were 6 points away from winning the league when it shut, or 5 points away from winning the league.
Played 28, won 27, drew 1.
Exactly. And that level is beyond what we're seeing now. That I've no doubt about that. The season before, we won the Champions League, and then we went into that season and we just blew all comers away. And that wasn't because the rest of the league was really, really poor. It was just because we were that bloody good. So I'd still say it's too early to be saying if this team win the league, that's the conversation we can have. I've got this horrible feeling City is still going to come out on top at the end of the season. But we're in the conversation. We're in the conversation. The beauty is we don't have to play Arsenal or City again, but they have to play each other. And hopefully it's a draw. Thing. Hopefully it's a draw and we just go on and we blow it.
Is it though? Is it OB? Is it a draw? Yes. Or do we hope Arsenal win and hedge our bets that they will bottle it again?
No, we don't, because ultimately Arsenal will then you're down to 9 games left for them to get something wrong. And when you're down to 3 and 2, and you don't want that. You want a nice little draw. We hit the front and we just stay there by winning football games and let them do whatever they're going to do.
Love it. I'd absolutely love that, obviously. The time when we got beat in the league by 1 point, then 2 times, 97 against 98 and 93 against 94. Did us and Man City not virtually win all the last 10 games?
Yeah.
We just couldn't get them to drop. And when they did drop, I think they drew to Spurs. We dropped to Spurs and then they dropped as well.
Yeah.
That was our chance. But now it's in our hands. If we win the next 10, we win it. It's them chasing. So if we can just keep up them levels and them performances and keep scooping the 3 points, it's us in the driving seat.
Are you assuming that Arsenal won't win all the games then?
Well, no, I mean, because they got to play each other.
No, but I mean, if
That's the
it's in
thing.
Arsenal, ultimately,
Yeah,
it's in
I
Arsenal's
suppose.
hands.
Yeah. If they beat Man City, fair play.
The only other thing is that 10 games is a lot of games with the goal difference. So I think Arsenal 7 goals better off than us.
Yeah, but yes, I'm not buying that. They
If
get
we
beat 3-1 and we win 4-0. You know,
Yeah,
it can literally evaporate.
Yeah, and then, haven't we got Sheffield United still to play at home?
Yeah.
I'm not saying we'll go out and smash them 7 or 8-0, but we could.
Yeah.
And at that point, everything changes. You know what I mean? Suddenly, the goal difference isn't what it was. The points are squeezing. You feel the pressure. All Liverpool need to do is win one game 6 or 7-0, and then just the whole dynamic changes. Arsenal be under enormous pressure.
I don't want to jinx OB, but after what City done to us winning the league by a point twice up in the 90s, imagine losing this league on goal difference. That would be us, wouldn't it? That would be our luck.
I don't
think my mental state could take that.
Oh my God, mate! Why are you doing this to me? What is it? 10:30 at night, and you're bringing stuff like that up. I'll sleep on that tonight.
Bukayo Saka's ears must be burning because Jose Ferreira is still in the comments. He's absolutely roasting him. Saka gets stuffed to that left wing like he's in prison. I think Saka's a good player, but not as much as people rate him like he's out of this world. Now, do you know what, Jose? I agree with you, actually. I've always said I'm not having Saka in the kind of conversation with Salah and co. Saka's overrated because he's a British Academy product succeeding at Premier League level. Very one-dimensional player in reality. Amen, Dan. I'm with you on that. Nowhere near world class.
I'm not completely convinced on that. I think Saka is what he excels at, and I'm not saying he's at Salah's level or anywhere near to it. The numbers prove that, and that's undeniable, and that's facts. But ultimately, what I would say is that Saka's a very good decision maker. You watch him; he makes the right pass. He gets into the right run, and he takes Arsenal up the pitch a lot. Quality player for me.
He is decent, but I was laughing the last couple of weeks. Obviously, Salah's had a couple of weeks out, hasn't he, with that kind of back spasm or fatigue in the muscle, whatever it was. But the next minute, Salah misses, 4 games, and people are talking about Phil Foden being the best player in the league. I mean, that's straight up disrespect.
Depends what you want, though. I mean, like I was saying earlier, I think Virgil van Dijk's the best player in the league for the moment. Yeah. And just because of the quality that he's producing and the levels that he's producing. I mean, as an attacking threat, I genuinely would not have... I wouldn't choose anyone else in the league over Salah as an attacking threat. I haven't seen anybody to convince me otherwise. Haaland, if you put him in any other team, if you put him in a Liverpool team, he wouldn't be able to do the numbers. It's just the whole City setup for him. He's got De Bruyne beside him, which helps him a lot. But for me, Salah is the best attacker in the league.
Nicholas Jackson, best player in the league. Thanks for coming. Good night. I think Dan's going to bed now. I think someone's putting him to bed. He's drunk.
Yeah. Wow.
Right, OB, let's get to bed. Let's get back on for the weekend. Liverpool, Man U, FA Cup quarterfinal. Does it get much bigger than beating Man United at Old Trafford? I don't think it does. What a coup that would be, just to further compound Eric Ten Hag and Man United fans in general. Compound their misery. Last word from Jose: Foden, better than Bellingham. Good night.
Wow.
OB needs to watch more Chelsea.
I really don't, mate. If I do, if I want to go to bed, maybe watch some of that, but that's about it, really.
Right, nice one. Everyone that's tuned in, really appreciate you. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe. Me, OB, and Trav will be back at the weekend talking more things: Premier League, Liverpool, and Man United. Peace out. Cheers, OB. Cheers, Dan. Cheers, Jose. Goats.
Thanks, everyone.
Header. But Gerrard! Oh, you beauty! What a head!